So those who haven't met me, which is most of you, my name's Geeta. I created Rewind Your Mind. By the way, I've got two big screens. So if I don't look at the screen the whole time, it's because I've got so many different places that I can look at, and I've sort of moved everyone to the side a little bit. I created Rewind Your Mind quite a few years ago. I started off as a therapist. I'm still a therapist. I do hypnotherapy, psychotherapy. I then studied EFT, EMDR, mindfulness, sauna mentology, CBT. I don't think I've ever stopped studying, so that's just been ongoing. I'm fascinated by the mind. When I work with one-to-one clients, it's mostly on anxiety and hormone rebalance. And people ask me, how the hell? So if you think about anxiety, you think, okay, I need to see a mind doctor. Doctors can help as well, but I can definitely see a mind doctor, like a hypnotherapist or another therapist, helping me with my anxiety. And when they think about hormones, they're like, okay, I need to see a hormone specialist or endocrinologist or something. They don't think that you can actually rebalance your hormones with the power of your mind. So it's a lot of education for me before I get clients for that, but it's absolutely astonishing when what you can do with your mind and your hormones. So besides for that side of things, and obviously fears and phobias, anxieties, panic attacks, weight management, all of that I deal with, I then started the corporate side of my business in 2017. Hello, Elaine, that just joined us. Hi, Elaine. So 2017, I went corporate mainly for the construction industry, which is completely opposite to working with hormone females. I work with men, but I also help other companies, literally from any walks of life, gaming industry, accountants, law firms, you name it. I've done sessions with all sorts. And yeah, so it's two different parts of my business. I absolutely love it, and I can combine the two sessions really nicely. So today's session is all about stress management. I think Raj, it's Krishna, sorry, you have joined previously. I just saw your video coming on. So yeah, all about stress management, and I really hope I can give you some useful information. I guess working in the healthcare industry, you probably know a lot of stuff already. And we all know stuff, but we tend to not always do something about it or act on it, or we don't necessarily always understand why there's certain things we need to have in place. So without further ado, let me see if this will now start. Yes, there we go. Okay. So I'm not really going to bore you with what exactly is stress. We've all experienced stress in our life. We know sort of the effects or how stress affects our lives. And stress is obviously an occupational health hazard. Now, we can do relaxation sessions and we'll relieve the tension that we maybe have that's built up from the stress. But it won't necessarily take away our stress. Now, stress can physically cause damage to a person and to our relationships. Oh, why is it jumping by itself? There we go. Let me go back again. Sorry. So it can cause harm to ourselves and our relationships, the people we work with, the people we live with, the people closest to us. Now, there's two types of stress. Can anyone tell me what types there are if you know? You can type it in the box. I see there's a chat already. Let me open that. Okay. Anyone know what types of stress we've got? Two types of stress?
Emotional stress? Work stress? Is this what you're kind of asking?
Not quite. Okay. Let me give you this. But yes, thanks for your input. It's not quite what I'm after. Maybe I haven't explained it properly. But so we've got acute stress, and acute stress is that sort of instant, like, where's my phone? Or I've arrived at the airport and where's my passport? I can't find my passport. And instantly your heart rate is going up. You're really, really anxious and sweating like crazy. And you're like, oh, okay, I found it. Breathe, you know. So that's that instant stress, and I'm sure we've all experienced that numerous times. So that's acute stress. Then we have chronic stress. Yes, someone asked something.
No, I was just listening and saying yes, because sorry.
Okay, perfect. And I'm reading the comments in between. So then we have chronic stress, and chronic stress, does anyone know what that is exactly? I'll give you a little test. Now, for those of you who missed the very start, if you don't have a pen and paper with you, grab that if you can. You'll be needing that. And if you maybe have a glass of water, a bottle of water, unfortunately mine isn't very filled up, but something that's got a bit of weight, grab that, and I'm going to try and explain chronic stress to you. So if you have your bottle or your glass or your something, have it in your hand. Now straighten your arm and hold that bottle out for me. Now, what do you think is going to happen to your arm if you hold this for the next 5 minutes? What's going to happen?
You'll start feeling
moderately tired.
It's going to feel tired. Strain.
Yes, tired, tension, maybe a burning sensation. It will creep up all the way maybe into your neck. Maybe you'll start feeling numbness further down. What's going to happen if you hold it for the next 8 hours or a day?
Oh my gosh.
I know lots of people can't hold it this long. Now, obviously, if your arm's getting really numb, you can put it down, or if you need to swap arms, but that's not the point. Really, just to hold it in one arm. Now, is this glass or bottle of water getting any heavier?
Yes.
It feels like it's getting heavier, but it's not like you've added extra water to it, is it? So physically, it's not getting heavier. But because you've been holding it for so long, it feels like, oh, I can't do it anymore. I need to put it down. I need to rest. I can literally feel mine now going to the other side of my neck because I've been holding it. Thank goodness I only had half a bottle now. Really pleased about that one. Okay, so it's not getting any heavier, but you can feel that tension building up, building up, building up. Now, chronic stress is prolonged without the opportunity to relax. That's exactly what chronic stress is. It's holding this again and again, and again, and you cannot put it down. You keep carrying the stress with you, and because of that, you're building up all the problems associated with carrying the stress for so long. Stop me if you have any questions, but we'll have a question section at the end as well. Let me move on. Sorry, I'm reading the messages in the meantime as well. So, long-term effects of chronic stress and mental health. Now, first of all, I'm going to go through them. Why does my mouse keep disappearing? So, you can develop anxiety disorders, whether that be general anxiety. Why does it keep moving by itself? Sorry. Keep general anxiety disorders, social anxiety. You can create or develop panic attacks. Persistent worry and fear will then be generated because of your anxiety. It can also lead to burnout. Sorry, it's not supposed to keep on going. Let me see if I can pause it. Let me try that. Hopefully it won't go anywhere now. So again, chronic workplace stress can lead to burnout, and it's categorized as sort of emotional exhaustion. That's obviously not working, guys. I'm so sorry. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm trying to pause it, but it's not working. Okay. Otherwise, it will just run through for that slide, and then I'll just keep explaining it. So when you are emotionally exhausted, there's a whole lot of sorry, it's just working, doing stuff by its own. So a lot of extra things that comes with it. You can develop depression. Persistent stress disrupts your brain chemistry. It increases vulnerability to depression, including major depressive disorders or having recurrent episodes. Inflammation was the next one. So it can trigger systemic inflammation, and I'm sure you guys know all about inflammation, and it links to your autoimmune disorders. You can develop diabetes, chronic pain conditions, and that will affect your mental and your physical health due to all the inflammation. It can affect your lifestyle in various ways, really. Poor dietary habits, lack of exercise, maybe you've got disrupted sleep. And again, this contributes to your mental health issues and physical problems again. Obesity, metabolic disorders, all of that can be impacted. Cognitive impairment. What happens if we're stressed? We don't concentrate anymore. We've got memory loss. We can't make decisions. It's literally hindering our daily functioning. I think the mental health was, physical health was the next one, cardiovascular diseases, gastrointestinal diseases, immune system suppression due to your continuous stress responses that's activated the whole time. Sleep disorders. Again, if we are really stressed, we're struggling to sleep. That can lead to, you know, disrupting patterns. It can lead to insomnia, maybe other disorders. So it just creates a really bad cycle of impaired sleep with heightened stress levels. Substance abuse. This could be something like just alcohol, but also Coca-Cola to get caffeine, or Red Bull just to get that kick. That's all substance abuse. You just need that boost or to help you move forward because you're struggling, and that can lead to addiction. You can have a vulnerability to mental illness. Again, it weakens your immune system. It increases your susceptibility to mental health illnesses like PTSD, OCD, eating disorders. All of that can be increased, and then compromise your immune system. So if that happens, as nurses, I'm assuming, are you most nurses? Most of you are nurses or office staff, a mixture, I guess. So as you should probably know, when you don't have a proper immune system, you can get infections and illnesses and sicknesses. And again, that's linked to your physical and your mental well-being. So there's a lot of stuff that can happen when we're struggling with carrying that stress for way too long. Any questions on this so far? Okay, I'll skip. I'm so worried about skipping because it just keeps running. I don't understand. So first thing I tell all of my clients, you've got to identify your stresses. We are normally a hamster on a wheel. When we're stressed, see, there it goes again. When we're stressed, we keep running on this wheel, and we never stop and get off and just think about, why are we running? What is it that keeps us going? What's this fight or flight response that is constantly activated? Where is our stress coming from? So we have physiological stress, psychological stress, and psychosocial stress. So the physiological stress refers to your body's response to a perceived threat or demand. So again, trauma, low blood sugar, hormonal imbalances, even being dehydrated can cause stress on your body. Not eating properly, substance abuse, as you can see, there's lots of different things that will cause extra additional stress on your body physically. Then psychosocial stress, that's the emotional and the cognitive response to your external demands or pressures that's happening to you. If you get off your hamster wheel and think, hang on a second, where's my worry coming from? Do I still have guilt that I've been dealing with for the last 10 years? Am I a perfectionist because that causes you extra stress? Do I suffer with panic or anxiety? Even looking back at trauma, is there trauma that happened to me when I was 10 years old and I've never dealt with it? Because it will trigger in your mind every now and then. You're carrying that stress with you. And then the psychosocial stress is the interaction between psychological factors, so your thoughts and your emotions, and then social factors such as relationships, cultural influences, societal expectations, all of that. And again, all of these can have an impact on both your mental and your physical health. So get off your hamster wheel and start tracking and identify your stress. This is the starting point for all of it. Don't just think my stress is normal, I can deal with it, or I've had a lot more before. If I just get to this holiday, if I just get to the end of the day, don't think like that. Stress isn't always normal. Sorry, sometimes we're carrying stress for far too long. So we'll go into that in more detail. So again, if you have a pen, if you wanted to take a screenshot, obviously this is being recorded, write down your stresses. Where does it come from? So next slide, we're going to do a bit of a stress test. Did someone say something? That's so annoying. So I'm going to ask you questions. Let me see if I can pause it again.
Would you just go back to the
the slide where you said you can take a screenshot. Sorry.
Yes, there we go. No worries. Hopefully it's not going to move on to the next slide. In the meantime, let me see if I can...
Gita, I think you planned this very, very well, because these slides are actually causing you stress. So we can see all those things, all the wheels actually happening here. And you are demonstrating what could easily, cause stress.
Exactly. Slides not working with the program. But I've never had it before. Let me just see if I can pause it somewhere. But
it's okay.
It doesn't make sense. But anyway, you get the gist of it. So technology.
No,
okay.
But do you know what? If somebody is teaching or doing training, these are some of the stresses that people face. If the sound isn't working, if the projector isn't working, if your computer isn't working, if the internet is, is not there, and you have a whole lecture theater full of people, this is exactly what causes. I could feel this.
Now, the interesting thing is, if you are a perfectionist, then can you imagine how high your stress would then be? For me, it's annoying, but I'm used to it because it happens, and different things happen all the time. The other day I got stuck in traffic and I got late for a meeting where I was going to do a presentation. I was late by 40 minutes and I had 70 people in a room waiting for me. The only plus side was they insisted on driving me from the one location to the next. I said to them, it's going to take too long. I'll take public transport. And they're like, no, we'll drive you in the car. So in the one hand, I'm like, okay, hands up. It's not my fault. I did say we're not driving. But anyway, so these things happen. So I want you to get your pen and paper ready. We're going to do a bit of a stress test. You won't be sharing your results. Don't worry. It's confidential. Now, in the next test, if you... okay, there's all the questions now. So you're going to answer never, seldom, sometimes, often, always. But instead of writing out the names, you're going to give yourself a score rating. 0 is never, 1 is seldom, 2 sometimes, 3 often, and 4 always. So answer each question. Don't think I'll be reading through them now because they're all there. And just give yourself a score rating. So 0, never, 1, seldom, 2, sometimes, 3, often, 4, always. And then just let me know when you're all done. Oh, thank you. That's a good idea, Kavita. In the chat, 0, never, 1, seldom, 2, sometimes, 3, often, and 4, always. And then when you're done, you can tally up your score rating. Excuse me.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Under number 10, would we include some things like chocolate?
In this case, no.
Because, I mean, that's my kind of go-to stress relief.
Let me have a think. I've never had anyone ask me that. Let me just have a think. So
I'm just thinking that maybe rather than using alcohol, cigarettes, food could be
any
stress
substance abuse, I guess, would fall under that, like I said in the previous section. So if you are abusing it, then yes.
Okay.
Obviously, 1 glass of alcohol is fine, but if you use it literally to cope with stress and I guess, in a sense, abusing it. So every time you feel stressed, you have a sip of alcohol, you have that extra cigarette, you have a ton of Red Bull or whatever else. Yeah, so yes, you can use that.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Gemini. Right, so I'm thinking you've all got your score ratings by now. If you haven't, just quickly give me a shout. Now, this is the only time I will ask it. Has anyone scored between 1 and 14? Let me know. All dead silence. I didn't think there would be many, if any. If you have scored between 1 and 14, it means your stress levels are low and you can just end the recording now and go home. And if you're not home already, you don't need this session. So next up, and the rest you don't need to tell me. Oh, damn it. There we go. So if your rating is between 15 and 28, your stress levels are medium. Now, watch out for any warning signs. We will go through the warning signs at the end, but things could be also such as mood swings, regular headaches, nausea, stomach cramps, forgetting things. Maybe you're a risk taker, and when you're stressed, you take more risks than normal. Low or high levels of energy fluctuating, social withdrawal, fatigue, angry outbursts. What else is there? Irritability. Any of those are sort of early warning signs for, hang on, your stress is creeping up more and more. If you are between 29 and 42, your stress levels are high, and it's probably already causing you problems. So you've got to find ways to reduce your stress. This is where you go back to identifying your stress levels. You've got to prevent rather than try and solve it afterwards. So look at your physical, your psychological, your emotional problems, analyze all of them, and just be sure you know where your stress is coming from. You probably already at this stage struggle with any unwanted negative thoughts and feelings. Next up is 43 to 56, and that is extremely high. So you're experiencing way too much stress, probably anxiety as well in your life. It's likely to completely overwhelm you. You won't be able to effectively cope. And sometimes people think what they are going through, like I said before, is just normal, but it isn't. So again, look out for the warning signs and get professional help. Now, I would normally say to people, when you are going through medium stress, watch it very closely and already have a therapist on speed dial. The moment it increases slightly, get to that therapist, get help. Don't wait till your stress are way up here, because as a therapist, it takes me so much longer to get you back down to normal than it is just, preventing you from increasing your stress. So next slide. Is anyone surprised by their test results? No? Okay. See a few shaking heads, but again, I don't see everyone's faces because they're not on video. But yeah, sometimes, I had a guy about 4 weeks ago who came to see me after the session and he was fuming. And he's like, I don't understand it. My stress levels are showing extremely high. I've had a lot worse stress in my life. What the hell is happening? This is a fake test. And I'm like, no. It doesn't lie. You are obviously going through stuff. Go and sit down and look at your stresses. And he named a few, and I gave him some coping strategies and stuff to do. And I saw him 2 weeks later, and he's like, wow, that was amazing. I've done X, Y, and Z, and my stress levels have come right down, and I didn't even realize it was that high. So just always be mindful and wary of what's happening for you. So I want to talk through good coping strategies, but to do that, I also have to explain bad coping strategies. Where is it? So first, and this is just going to run a while now, I'm sure. So avoidance. So ignoring or avoiding problems and stresses rather than addressing it. It's like this hamster on a wheel. We just keep going, and don't stop to think what's happening. And eventually it may worsen or become more challenging for you to manage your stress. Just in time, substance abuse. I didn't click that. So again, turning to alcohol, chocolates, or whatever may lead to addiction, dependency, and a host of other physical and mental and social problems. Emotional eating, using food as a way to cope with stress. And this is probably where your chocolate is coming in, Elaine. Unhealthy eating habits can lead to weight gain. It can have a negative effect on your health as well as your well-being. But also saying that some people, when they're super stressed, they just stop eating, which is also not good either. Next up is denial, refusing to acknowledge or accept the persistence, like that guy, or the presence of our stress or problems. And it can actually prevent us from seeking the help that we need and getting the support, and that can then escalate our problems even further. Escapism. So engaging in excessive escapism. So maybe you binge watching TV, or you're gaming, or internet use, just as a temporary distraction. But ultimately, you're not dealing with the underlying issues, and that will just increase your stress and not bring you stress relief. Self-isolation, so just withdrawing from social interactions, not asking for support, not connected to your support networks, and that can then increase loneliness, feeling isolated, feeling completely helpless, and all alone in this world, with that worsening your stress and your mental health. Some might turn to aggression and violence, just really, really, really getting upset, causing them self-harm, causing others harm, conflict, damaging relationships, and that will, again, just increase your stress. This is something that most people, I think, not most people, some people are guilty of a lot, including myself. I'm no saint, is overworking. Sometimes we pour excessive time and energy because it's a means of distraction. And that can then lead to burnout, strained relationships, neglect of other important aspects of your life, and ultimately, guess what? Contributing to more stress. The next up is rumination. So just dwelling excessively. You've got these negative thoughts and worries running around in your head. You've got regrets, and you're just not taking constructive action at all. So that will, again, increase your stress, but also hopelessness and helplessness. And then lastly is procrastination, just delaying or avoiding tasks because maybe you're fearing it, or you're a perfectionist, or you've got lack of motivation. And all of these can increase your stress levels, especially when your deadlines approach, last minute rushes, and then you don't have the outcomes that you want. So I'm sure there's some of them, not necessarily all of them, but some of them that you're guilty of. Someone mentioned sounds like the menopause. I don't know at which part it was, but yes, menopause can cause a lot of things for you as well. So yeah, just be aware that these are bad coping strategies. If you're doing this, you've got to find better coping strategies because you're not coping. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I had a client who had severe anxiety, and for some reason, she found alcohol as her coping strategy. And it got so bad that she would drink a shot of vodka every time she feels the anxiety boiling up in her. And in the end, she was just drinking all day, every day, and she started isolating. She then wouldn't literally go out of her house. She was completely isolated in her home, ordering food, takeaways, and crap and all sorts. She picked up so much weight. We started working on sessions. I then didn't see her for a while, and she's back in the UK. She was in a different country as well. Back in the UK after I had to do sessions to get her out of the house. Then I had to do sessions to not be afraid of flying anymore. There was so much work. And I saw her literally yesterday, and I couldn't believe the change. She's lost all the weight. I literally had to double take, like it didn't even look like her. And she finally realized now that it was literally her coping strategy. She thought it's helping her anxiety, but it really just made it worse and worse. So just be very careful when you employ bad coping strategies. Which brings us then, not the good coping strategies yet, we'll get to it. So this is sort of just a little map that you can draw for yourself at some point, and go and map out your stress. Go and write down all your stresses. I'll give you extras besides for the psychosocial and all of that I listed. Maybe you want to write these down as I say them. Job pressure, sleep deprivation, money, high pressure tasks. I'll see if I can copy this list. I can't copy it from here. Health, anxiety, maybe job insecurity, relationship problems. Poor nutrition, yes, that plays a role. If you're not eating properly, how have you got energy to do your work? And I know I've got a lot of nurse friends, and they're the worst. They really don't eat. They run around all day and just eat a bite of cake here or have a sip of tea there. They just don't eat properly. So you don't have the energy to do your job. Conflicts with colleagues or supervisors, media overload. I guess that was very much prevalent when we went through COVID. There was so much media and bad news. Going through grief, gambling, addictions, long working hours, loneliness, tight deadlines, family issues. So you can see there's a lot of stuff that we can start mapping out and just write down everything that could potentially bring you stress. If you've got that written down, then you can start working on it. So if you write down poor nutrition, how do you combat that? Eat better food. If you wrote down dehydration, make sure you drink more water. But if you're not going to write down, I just named silly things now, but if you're not going to write it down, how are you supposed to manage your stress and know which ones to work on? And that then brings us to coping strategies. Now, I want to do a little bit of activity with everyone. So what coping, first of all, let me ask, if you look at, not that there's anything on this list at the moment, but if you think about your stress mapping and all your stresses, from the list I just named, which ones do you feel are prominent in your life at the moment? Maybe it's job pressures or long working hours. I want to see if there, and you can just type it in if you want. I want to see if there's a bit of an overlap amongst healthcare of things that you're all struggling with. Work and nutrition, yep. I saw you shaking your head, Krishna, when I was talking about nutrition and not eating healthily. Working on days off, yes, I suppose long working hours because you're adding additional stuff. Loss of a family member, sorry about that, Elaine. But all of these things are extra things that come into play. Now, as a little exercise, what would you then say, if you look at this list that people put in the chat box, what coping strategies do you think you can employ to help with these, let's say these 3 or 4 things? So let's go with nutrition. What would be a good coping strategy to help with nutrition? And if you want, you can talk as well. I don't mind chat or talk, it doesn't matter. Easy meals. Yep. Easy meals are great, but always check the nutrition, because if it's a microwave meal, a ready-made meal, they have a lot of sugar in them, they have a lot of salt in them. Do they have all the veggies you need? So make sure that it's at least a healthy, nutritious, easy meal. It doesn't have to take long to make. Make sure you throw in the veggies. Or if it's a smoothie, you know, so you get all your nutrients in the smoothie, and it's something you can quickly make. Making better choices, yes, absolutely. Jamie Oliver, easy meal, yeah.
I tend to find it easier when the days that I do cook, when I cook extra and I take it into work. Yes. It doesn't happen that often that I do have the extra to take into work, but when I do, I will eat that food. Whereas the days that I don't take in any lunch, I just end up starving the whole day and just end up drinking teas and coffees.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe, I mean, this is something I do. I hate cooking though, so I try and do in bulk as much as I can. So I make a meal for 4 instead of 2, so that I have lunch tomorrow, or that I have an extra dinner tomorrow, depending on what's happening. But making sure you maybe cook double, so you have something nutritious and decent to eat. Again, dehydration, making sure you drink the water. What else have we had on there? Let me go back up again. Working on days off. So what would you say would be good coping strategies for that, for managing that?
with that one, I have tried to delete access of my emails from my phone, and I've kind of muted all my WhatsApp work groups and stuff. But I still find that I will go out of my way if I've got a spare 5 minutes to go and log on and have a look. And then if I see something, I'm the kind of person that needs to deal with it there and then. It's not, I can't wait until I'm back at work. I have to answer people back straight away. You know, I have to like make sure that I answer and tend to everything.
Yes. Okay. So again, I think someone mentioned it here as well, detox, having a digital detox day. Thanks, Elaine. Making sure you get that time out. Yes. Leaving your phone at work one day if you have to, you know, that would drive me nuts, I know. So but just try for one day not to respond, and then maybe the next time try for 2 days or 3 days. But also it's looking at, why are you working extra hours? Why are you working on your days off? Who's expecting it of you? Why aren't you getting through your work? Do you need to speak to someone about it and say, look, it's just too much, I can't cope? Do you need to delegate better? Do you need to prioritize better? What is it that you need to put in place to help you not to work on your days off? There's an amazing book called Eat That Frog. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. Yeah, Kavita shaking her head. It's a really, really good book that I can recommend. Eat That Frog. I'm not going to go into that, otherwise we won't have enough time. But little stuff like that. There's also apps called Pomodoro apps. If you're working on a computer, you can install Pomodoro on your computer, and will literally shut down your computer after 25 minutes and forcing you to get up and go and do something. And then 5 minutes later, we'll be back up again, but you had a 5-minute break every 25 minutes. You can set the timing, but they suggest 25 minutes. Time out. Yes, time out.
Can I just ask? Yeah. What you, if you're going away on holiday, what you would normally do, because I don't see you taking your work laptop and work phone with you on annual leave. If you're going away for a couple of weeks, can you not employ those kind of strategies for your days off?
Good thinking, Elaine.
So I don't actually have a work laptop or a work phone. It's all on, it's my personal phone. So our unit has a WhatsApp group, and all of the nurses are on there, and it's everyone's private numbers on there. And that tends to go off days off, nights, days, whatever. So I've archived that group, but because of the kind of person I am, I will still go into there and read something. And if I've read it, I cannot sit on it. That's my problem. And I've got this bit of OCD where I have to have full control and full access to everything, and I have to make sure that I've planned everything. And if I don't,
a little bit of FOMO going on there.
Yeah. So I was going to say, Krishna, you are your own worst enemy.
I am.
You are the only one that can change this, but recognizing it is the first step, and then you can say, okay, this is one of my, if I go back, one of my stresses that I need to map down and do something about it. So what is it that you're going to do about it? You know, take that time out to do something. Otherwise, you're just going to drive yourself nuts. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of them, but you get the idea. So just find coping strategies and share it. You've got this wonderful women network group now, you know, regularly share coping strategies. Some people will say, well, I go for a walk, I take a breather, I read this book. Share your coping strategies, because we don't always know coping strategies. We know all the bad coping strategies, as you can see, we're very familiar with that, but we don't always know the good coping strategies, which brings me then on to the basic good coping strategies. And some of these you will already know, be very familiar with it, but you don't always know why you need it, or we don't always put them in place. So anyone do mindfulness or meditation? Not really? Okay. Mindfulness really is a lifestyle change. I personally, even though I studied it and I offer it to clients, I don't personally like mindfulness, but for other people, it's a total game changer. I employ parts of mindfulness in my life, but it's not a lifestyle change for me like it should be. But everyone's different. Everyone's got the things they like and don't like. So practicing mindfulness techniques and meditation can help you, you know, just stay present in the moment, so you don't get caught up with your worries or your negative thoughts about your stresses. Now, some of you might not understand mindfulness. We don't have enough time to do it. That might be another session, Kavita, but you can also Google it and find out a little bit more. There's just some detail for you, Krishna. Then it can help you calm your mind, reduce your anxiety, increase resilience and stress. There's a load of amazing stuff that it can do. Now, there's also an app called Headspace and another one called Calm. Some of you are familiar with it. And then we've got the 4-7-8 breathing technique, which is one of my favorite techniques. And I thought I'll teach that to you today. So it only takes about a minute or two, probably less than a minute actually, but because I'm going to teach, it will take a little bit longer. So I first explain to you how to do it, and then we'll do it together. So the idea is you breathe in for 4, the mental count of 4, you hold it for the mental count of 7, and then you breathe out audibly for the mental count of 8. Now it looks like this: breathing in for 4, holding it for 7, and breathing out audibly for 8. Now, when you breathe out, you put the tip of your tongue behind your front teeth. It's tricky at the start, and you breathe out through around your tongue, really. Now, I say mental count because some people go in a panic state thinking, I can't hold my breath that long, and then they go in a stress state. So it's a mental count, however long or short you want the 4, the 7, or the 8 to be. So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. However way you want to do it. Let me go out of that for a moment. Otherwise, that will annoy me. So we're going to do this together. If you're wearing glasses, you can take them off right now. You don't need to see anything. We're going to close our eyes for a moment, and we'll do this together. So if you've got your tongue, if you figured that out already, have it ready for when we get to 8. And you breathe out audibly so you can hear yourself. So close your eyes. When you're ready, breathe in for 4. And then hold your breath for the mental count of 7 when you're ready. And then again, get your tongue ready. And again, after your 7th count, breathe out for the mental count of 8. When you get to the bottom of that, take a quick breath and then repeat that again, breathing in for 4, holding it for 7, breathing out audibly for 8. And I'm going to stay quiet for a moment or two while you repeat this at least 3 more times. And once you're done, you can open your eyes. If anyone's fallen asleep, you can wake up now. How did that feel for you? Relaxed, yes. Krishna's still thinking, very therapeutic, pleasure. So this was created for people who struggles to fall asleep at night or has woken up and then struggled to fall back asleep. But they also realize it's a fantastic breathing technique, great calming calmer. Yeah, it's a breathing technique that helps for anxiety, that helps for stress. I was concentrating on counting. Even if you're angry, now our breath will always anchor us. It will always bring us more down, more relaxed, slow down our heart rate. It takes a minute to do. So if you are feeling super stressed and you're like, I do not have time to do X, Y, and Z, take time out and go and do the 4-7-8 breathing. It takes a minute. Just go and sit in the bathroom or a meeting room or around the corner, close your eyes and just calm down a little bit. If you are thinking, this patient has made me so angry right now, step away and go and do the 4-7-8 breathing technique. If you're struggling to fall asleep at night, do the 4-7-8 breathing technique. It's really, really, really powerful. It really does work, and you'll see the difference. What some companies have done that we've employed now is at the start of every meeting, they start with a 4-7-8 breathing technique, because then everyone is nice and calm. They can think clearly, they're concentrating, they relax, and it's a nicer meeting that they can have. So you can employ that as well if you're having staff meetings. I'm going to move a little bit faster with the rest. Exercise, we all know that the best help for mental health, help to reduce stress levels, to improve your mood, for overall well-being is exercise. And we don't always have time, but 10 minutes a day or 10 minutes in your break or 10 minutes can really make a difference for you. A brisk walk or something. What's the significance of 4-7-8? Oh, sorry, I was meant to say that. So when you count 4-7-8, first of all, you're thinking, okay, was it 4-8-7, 4-8-6, 4-7? Okay, it's 4-7-8. And now you start breathing and you count, and you're counting too fast or you're counting too slow. You have your tongue, you hear yourself audibly, you have to concentrate, is this the right way? Think about how you put your tongue. In the meantime, what's happened when you think about all the counts and the numbers and listening to yourself? It gets you out of your head. So if you are running high on stress, on emotions, on anxiety, on worrying, on fear, if you do the 4-7-8, it gets you away from all of that rushing noise in your head, because you're focusing on something that you can hear and you can feel and you have to think about, and you can have to concentrate on something different, which is why it works so well. Please feel free to ask again if you have more. Relaxation techniques, I guess, similar to the mindfulness. Again, I do a lot of hypnotherapy. There are amazing hypnotherapy sessions online as well. Some are really crap, but some are really good. There's 2 free apps called Insight Timer, and another one is called Smiling Minds. There's tons of visualizations, muscle relaxations, calming music. And you can choose, do I want a 2-minute one, a 2-hour one, a 10-hour one? There's so many on there, and you can save the ones you like, because sometimes you listen to something and you're like, oh, this person's got a really irritating voice. Just pick the next one and save the ones that you like. It really makes a big difference. Healthy eating, we've sort of talked about it. You've got to have a balanced diet, rich fruit, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats. You need energy to do your job, to support your physical and your mental health. And if you don't have that energy, you're going to struggle. Having social support, staying connected, seeking support from friends, family members, support groups, wherever, will really help if you're struggling. I always say to clients, have a list of 5. Write down 5 people that you feel you can always talk to. Obviously, you can't talk to everyone about everything, but you'll have different people that you can talk to for different things. So write down those names. And I say write them down because when we're really stressed or really anxious or really overwhelmed, we can't even think of those 5 people. But you can open your phone and say, okay, here's the list. Call the first one. If they're not available, call the next one, call the next one, call the next one. Just have someone that you can talk to, even if it's just talking about the weather, because just their presence will help you better cope, or maybe they have a coping strategy that they can share with you. Making sure you've got good sleep hygiene, prioritize that. Who gets 9 hours of sleep a night? 8 hours. I see all these shaking heads. 7 hours. Oh no. Okay, you should aim for 7 to 9 hours, never for 9. 7 to 9 hours is what you should aim for uninterrupted. Lots of people function on 4 to 6 hours. They think it's normal. It's just like stress. It's not normal. You have just learned to cope with that little stress, but you're not really coping. It is affecting everything in your life, but you just don't recognize it anymore. So do whatever you can to improve your sleep. Super important. Sleep and mental health goes hand in hand. Time management, and this is maybe one for Krishna. Organizing your tasks, prioritizing your responsibilities, breaking larger projects into bite sizes, manageable steps. It can all help reduce feelings of overwhelm. It will actually increase your productivity. And if you need to, get the Pomodoro app to break your time up, to give you regular breaks. Healthy boundaries, setting those boundaries. Say no to excessive demands or commitments. That will, it will help prevent that overwhelm and maintain a healthy work-life balance. You have to push back, otherwise people take liberties. Prioritize your self-care. That's super important. And I think with COVID, we've all learned, we've had this little taste of a work-life balance, so it all helps, and people will push back a little bit more. Problem-solving skills, if you develop those skills more, it actually helps you to be more constructive, find solutions when you are really, really stressed. So you've got to practice your problem-solving skills. I do stuff like Sudoku and things because it helps you problem solve. It challenges your brain. And then lastly, seeking additional professional help. We have to do that. Otherwise, it will escalate too much, and we don't always know how to stop it. And just having it from a different point of perspective, a professional that knows how to help you will really, really, really be valuable for you before it escalates too much. I'm nearly at the end. Just a few more good coping strategies. The first was just the basic ones, like I said, that we all know, but we don't always do. But things like going from threat to challenge, reframing a situation. So instead of seeing a stressor as a threat, try and see it as a challenge or an opportunity for growth. When we are feeling anxious or stressed, what goes through our minds and bodies? What physical reactions are happening for us? Say, for instance, I don't know, does anyone have a fear of heights? No, not really. Okay. Not a lot of people like jumping out of planes. We'll go with that one. Hopefully. Not a lot of people are keen on doing that. But if you're about to jump out of a plane, what physical feelings will go through your body? Because it is a scary thing to do, or bungee jumping. Feeling sick, yeah, nausea, a racing heart, yes, adrenaline, sweating. Gosh, you guys are doing awesome with this. Normally I have to drag it out of people. They can't think, but you are doing fantastic. Increased heart rate. Elaine, well done. Well done. I certainly can't do that. So were you feeling these feelings that everyone listed, or you were actually excited?
No, I absolutely loved it. I went parachuting.
Oh, wow.
I literally threw myself out of a plane. I broke an ankle, but I still threw myself out of the plane.
Wow. Okay, well done. So not a lot of people can say that. However, when you are stressed and anxious about doing something like bungee jumping or throwing yourself out of a plane, it's exactly the same feelings, physical sensations that you feel when you are excited. When you're excited, it's like, your heart's racing fast. I'm so excited. I'm going to jump out of this plane now. I'm literally going to throw myself out of here. Your heart's going, you're sweating. You might feel the butterflies in your stomach, which some people see as nausea. You've got the adrenaline rushing through your body. You are so excited. It's exactly the same physical sensations, anxiety and excitement, which is why you can turn threat into a challenge. You can turn your anxiety into excitement. All you need to do, and it sounds easier than it is, or it's easier than it sounds in a way. When you are about to jump out of this plane, not that I would, but anyway, tell yourself, all these feelings that I'm feeling at the moment is just excitement. I'm just super excited. And then your brain will go, hang on a second. Oh, I know the feeling of excited. Yeah, I can do this. And it literally changes the way you think. So when you see a threat, change it into a challenge, change it into an opportunity. Next up is strive for a positive outlook, looking at situations more positively, seeing problems as opportunities will actually refute your negative feelings, your thoughts. And it's an important aspect of staying positive and then trying to minimize your stresses. So really physically look for stuff around you that is positive. Even if it's seeing a couple kissing or holding hands, choose to perceive things in a different way. And there's a saying, change the way you see things and the things you see will change, So you can make an experience as good or as bad as you choose to perceive it. So change your thinking, because that will build resilience. Next up is being grateful. Now, you don't have to tell me now, you can if you want to. What are 3 things you are grateful for right at this moment? Now, when I deal with depressive clients, it's really, really hard for them to come up with stuff that they're grateful for. I have to drag it out of them, and they really, really struggle to see good things. My husband, my girls, my life, yes, keep them coming. I'll keep talking, but do send me 3 things that you're grateful for. Now, every day when we go to bed at night, what happens after the day when we're sleeping? What happens in your dreams, I guess? Chocolate. I'm with you on that one, Elaine. Look, I've got my empty wrapper to prove it.
That's it. I'd have been on my way.
As simple as a sunny day, yes. And wasn't it an amazing sunny day today? Let me go back again. Okay, so when we go to bed at night, our brains process everything that's happened to us during the day. So if you change the way you go to bed and write down 3 things, and maybe the next time 5 things, 7 things, increase it as you go, write down the things that you are grateful for, then that's the kind of stuff that your brain will focus on before you go to sleep, instead of all of the horrible stress and the patient that angered you and whatever else. Dreams sometimes feel so real. Yes, exactly. We have these vivid dreams because our brain is trying to process stuff, especially when we're struggling with a problem, which is why it's so important to resolve our problems before we go to bed so we don't have to stress about it. Which brings me to the next thing, schedule your worries. So this is a bit of a strange concept. You find 15 or 20 minutes every day where you will allow yourself to worry. So maybe that is 4 o'clock at tea time. Maybe it's on your way home after work. Maybe it is the first thing you do in the morning when you wake up. Maybe it's whenever, You choose a time slot where you can schedule your worries for. Now, during the day, we don't have time to deal with our worries. And in the meantime, it's running around in our heads. So every time you have an unwanted negative thought or a worry, whatever it may be that's not needed, write it down. A money worry or a work worry, whatever it is, write down your worry and tell yourself, I don't have time to worry about it now. I will worry about it at 4 o'clock in my tea break. Come 4 o'clock, you sit down with your list of worries and you reflect on each worry, exploring the underlying causes or the triggers, and consider potential solutions if there are any. Problem solve and prioritize your worries, which brings me to the next thing, which is called the worry tree. So you ask yourself, okay, this is the worry. This is what I feel in my body with this worry. What is the worry about? Oh, the worry is about, I don't know, I'm not eating proper food. Can I do something about this worry? Yes or no? Yes, I can do something about it. Can I do something about it now? No, I'm at work. I'm meant to be working. I can't do something about it now. Okay, so it goes this way. Schedule the worry to deal with it later. So you write it down. Then you ask yourself, when can I do something about it? I can do something about it tonight when I get home, or on the weekend when I have more time. Write it down on your Saturday list then to deal with it on the weekend. Can I do something about the worry now? Yes. Okay, do something about the worry right now. Get up and go and do whatever you need to do to help you deal with that worry. So that's your worry tree. With that, you can also do the circle of influence, control, and concern. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. You can Google it. There's lots of amazing stuff about it. But in the middle, in the center, we've got our circle of control. This is all the things that we have control over. I have control over my moods and my feelings and my thoughts and my behavior and my coping strategies and my daily choices. This is what I have control over. The next circle is your circle of influence. So your influence is, I can't control it, but I might have an influence over my relationship with my husband. I might have an influence over how a work colleague treats me. Maybe if I treat them in a different way, maybe we can work on a relationship or whatever. So these are things that you have influence over, but not necessarily direct control. And then you've got your circle of concern, excuse me, the wider circle. And these are all the things you don't have control over. I can't control the weather. I can't control that my project is finishing and I need to find a new job, whatever it may be. I don't have control over that. The things you don't have control over, stop worrying about it immediately. You're going to drive yourself nuts. You can't control it. Put it to the side. Ignore it. The things you have influence over, yeah, maybe you can influence stuff, but don't worry about that just yet. It's not important. The things that are important are the things you have control over. Start with those things. Start controlling those things, and then the rest will sort out itself. Right. Shout if you have questions. Do something you love. You know, painting, listening to music, art, playing an instrument, whatever it may be. If you do something you love, it will create positive emotions. It will be a welcome distraction when you're stressed. You will have a sense of self-esteem or mastery the more you do it, and confidence. And ultimately, it will help you improve your mental health, your physical health, reduce your stress levels. And it may even create social connections for you. So there's literally hundreds and hundreds of coping strategies. You can Google it. But not every coping strategy is going to help you every time. You may not like all the coping strategies. What works for you might not work for someone else. So it's important to find ones that you think resonates with you and then try them. And don't just try them once and, oh, it didn't work this time. Try them a few times and eliminate the ones that you really think is not going to work for you. And eventually have your little toolbox of your go-to toolbox. What are the things I can do? Some things you have to do every single day. If you don't do it every day, how are you supposed to cope? Other things you can employ when stress is really building up, you know, when you're really struggling. Make me time, yeah, painting, decorating the house, gardening. I don't like gardening, but yes, for some people, everyone's got different things that are more stressful. See, there's a coping strategy that some people like and don't like. So make sure you have a list of a toolbox, you know, resources that you can go to that will help you cope in general. Last but not least, recognizing early signs of stress. So we've got our physical indicators, changes in sleep patterns, physical tension and aches, digestive issues, poor self-care, changes in communication, and expressing concerns. Excuse me. We have behavioral indicators, changes in work performance, your social withdrawal, increased substance abuse, including chocolate, Elaine, increased absenteeism, conflict and tension. Now, oftentimes, we don't always recognize the signs immediately, but others around us will recognize it before we do. They will see the changes, especially the behavioral and the emotional changes. Suddenly you've got mood swings. Suddenly you are irritable. You are pushing others away. You're not being nice. You've got heightened anxiety, emotional exhaustion. These are things that others around you, especially those who know you well, will see first, which is why it's important to have a support group, to have a community, to know your colleagues so that if things come up, you can help them and say, hang on a second, what's wrong with you? Something's up. You're not your usual self. All these things are happening. Do you want to talk? Reach out to them because they might not notice it in themselves immediately. And then lastly, it's important for early intervention before it escalates. Go and see a therapist, go and get help, go and ask for support. Oh, let me go back. Get those enhanced support systems in place, your list of 5, have them ready, and be proactive with your stress management. Again, going back to your triggers. If you don't know your triggers, how are you supposed to deal with your stress? So that's me, guys. If you scan that, you'll get to a little page with some of my information. It's more on the corporate side, but if you go to my website, you'll see the other side. Thanks, Elaine. You'll see both sides on there. Let me go back again. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. If you feel you would rather email me a question, you're welcome to do that. I'll answer that. And otherwise, if you are struggling with a lot of anxiety, fears or phobias, weight management issues, if you want to stop smoking, if you've got hormones all over the place, these are all things that I deal with and help people with on a regular basis. So I do a free consultation, so I can explain to you in more detail before you decide if you want to work with me or not. And then you decide from there. So yeah, thank you so much.